recording. And hello. Okay. Oh, got a number of folks. And there's John. Good morning, John.
Good morning.
There's people rolling in. We'll get started in about a minute. I'm just saying that I was surprised that there were people here due to the holiday season in Europe. It seems to be kicking off in full swing. Makes me want to move to Europe.
Did you read the article? And I forget if it was Wall Street Journal where they were making the observation that the more leisurely or accommodating lifestyle in Europe in terms of work and work hours and vacation, they were associating that with the overall decline in GDP and productivity of the EU nations. You know, this is looking over the last 20, 30 years, so big trend. That they're losing their competitiveness, and it was making that correlation. So I thought that was interesting.
Sounds like Wall Street Journal stuff. I don't know. My experience with the European nations has been exactly the opposite, particularly over the last 15 years or so. I don't know. There's a number of companies in Europe that are now experimenting with the 4-day work week, and they've noticed an increase in productivity. So very, very weird.
Yeah. Well, they're using really hard data in terms of GDP, so you can't really refute that, but you can debate the cause of it, right? If it's because of that.
Right. Yeah, that could be mental versus physical labor. Exactly. So I'm in the same group with you, Leo. I'm willing to give it a shot, if somebody twists my arm. All right, should we go ahead and dive in here? We are recording. So welcome to the August regular meeting of the CentOS Automotive Special Interest Group. We are here to talk about automotive and anything related to our AutoSD thing, our AutoSD version of CentOS. And we don't really have a whole lot today. Leo, do you have any technical updates you might want to share with us?
Yep. About 5 items or so.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So first one, that we found a place to host an ARM's Ava machine.
Right.
It's on its way to the place today. We'll figure out operational details from next week forward, and also work with Linaro to integrate the machine to their centralized CI system and so on. ARM is also set up an Ava lab as well. I was going to be there. We were going to be their first users, but I'm sure that would serve a higher purpose in Sophie overall for other members.
I'm sorry. What is Ava?
Ava is a developer computer from ARM for you to build and test whatever software you want to do on their machine. It's basically support system ready. Their system ready product as well in there. This machine is used in Sophie, which is a open automotive group sponsored by ARM. So everything that you're doing there right now, because it's ARM-based group, happens on that machine. I actually have a link to the actual thing.
I was just looking for a link to. It's an 80-link platform. I don't remember which. Oh, it's at the. Yeah, here it is.
Just paste the URL in there because we're interested.
Okay, good, thanks. So, yeah, it's an 80-link platform that's set up to slot into a 2U rack. It takes up two units in a rack, and it's meant to be very easy to build on. So we are planning to use it as a build server for generic ARM AR64, specifically for SOFI.
So that is basic.
ARM contributed the hardware. So
yeah, so they have a federated build system where basically you can just hook up your hardware as a node into that, and then trigger builds from their CI hub, which is basically what we are going to do with our AutoSD Automotive CentOS train images for SOFI with that machine.
Yeah, this particular machine was, or this particular platform was chosen. Was chosen as the stock server for SOFI.
Okay, so it's basically a build node to build the SOFI stack.
Yeah.
Is that essentially what it is?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And are we using it for other purposes as well, or just using it for the SOFI image of with AutoSD? Or are we also using it for AutoSD and other things?
Well, we're not using it yet because we were trying to find a place to put it. But initially, just for SOFI, might be other uses for us to as long as because it's donated by ARM for SOFI. So I think as long as using automotive scope, you should be able to leverage that machine somehow.
And what kind of hardware is it? I assume it's ARM CPUs, but what is it?
That I don't know. Which I believe that it's a system ready SR certified platform, and it's power. It's an Ampere SoC.
It's an Ampere.
I think it's this one. Pretty sure that's the one.
You're referring to a chat window, I presume.
Yeah, sorry, I've just posted it in the chat window.
How do I bring up the chat window? I'm sorry, I'm not good with this.
On the right side, there's a little thought balloon or a speech balloon. The middle button on the right.
Yeah, I don't see any buttons, but okay.
At the risk of doing weird things to Google, let me see if I can do this. Yeah, Google's going to complain to me. Okay. All right. Let's see if I can point it out. Right over down here on the bottom right, there's a little button that says chat with everyone. Do you see that?
Yeah, okay. So you're using a web browser for this?
Yes.
Okay. I'm using WebEx. I may try coming back in with a web browser then, and maybe because WebEx is not showing me any options for a chat window.
Okay, I can also paste it into.
I just put it in the meeting notes, so as well, so people can access it, so we don't differ a lot from meeting agenda.
I'll get back to the right window here. Sorry, everything is running really slowly for me all of a sudden. I've angered the computer gods. Okay. More down. So here you can kind of see the.
Okay, thank you. I can see that.
Okay, good. Oh, that didn't work out, did it? Okay.
So moving on, I did a presentation yesterday in Eclipse SDV about using Kubernetes, about the blueprint for using Kubernetes YAML files for workload definition, which basically what's our Quadlet project does. It was kind of well received, but I think I'm a bit biased by Sophie blueprints. They expect more of a code samples and things like that, whereas Sophie it's more just specification conversation. I now have the next use case meeting. I'll try to show up with an implementing the idea with one of the use cases or blueprints they have to exemplify the how to use the blueprint. The idea of blueprint is that it should help projects in working together in a common goal. That's one of the requirements of Eclipse blueprint. I actually have a repository for what I presented.
Okay.
It's as if it was a kind of neutral ground blueprint at specification or blueprint or proposal idea. Other than that, I'm looking at building Autoware in a Fedora-based image. We to imply building ROS in a container as well. Everything will be built from source for now. But that is the first step. They are actually very open into alternatives to build system, to build their stack to make it available on other platforms rather than their only image right now is Ubuntu one. Something that's not directly related to Automotive, but was triggered by Automotive, is that there's a work in progress from someone from the Fedora CoreOS team. They are working on building ROS in a CoreOS container, so you can just install ROS as OS3 layer as part of your host, either Silverblue or Fedora CoreOS operating system. It's a quite interesting. Still early stage, but one engineer from their side look at it and just help them out due to my exposure to ROS. Those were my echo updates.
Okay, great. And just so everybody knows, the reason why we have an interest in ROS, robot operating system, is that ROS2 is used for Autoware and a number of other ADAS systems. So we feel it's in our best interest to make sure that it is supported on AutoSD. And the first way to do that is to get it into Fedora. So that has been a work in progress now for several months. And we've restarted the Fedora Robotics Special Interest Group. There's a meeting every 2 weeks. If you have any interest in it, we can post the link to that.
Also, Flock is happening this week.
True, Flock is happening.
The SIG will be mentioned in a small tech talk section. Basically, SIG updates. And robotics will be briefly mentioned on that presentation as well.
I don't have a link to the robotics SIG, but yeah, Flock is going on, and all of the talks for Flock, I believe, are going to be posted automatically. So I think that they should be available by the end of the week. If that's not, and they do require some manual intervention, it'll be probably end of next week.
They are also streaming live.
And they are streaming live. Okay, I didn't realize that. Yeah, we can definitely post.
Just in addition to the technical status, there is also a new build in the CentOS Automotive repo, which is coming from the CentOS Stream QEMU KVM build. It will ship the dbus related packages, so there will be possible to export the video screen from QEMU-KVM to a debus session. That will be used for trying to run it as QM load on top of AutoSD.
Okay,
with
very
QM.
interesting. So I didn't catch that as far as notes goes, but this is a build of CentOS stream with KVM.
QEMU-KVM.
So is the AutoSD SIG looking at AutoWare?
Yes.
Yeah, in a sense, yes. So AutoWare is used in SoFi. It has a very strong presence in SoFi. We do run it currently in our. We have a SoFi AutoSD image, which ships AutoWare, but it's basically running on a Ubuntu container. So we're basically looking at is just switch from using Ubuntu to build it on either CentOS or Fedora image instead.
Okay, so it's running native in the SoFi stack, or will it also be in a Fedora or CentOS container?
In SoFi stack, like SoFi is using K3s as their container orchestration platform, and they are actually using they are kind of using containers as well. It would be the same technology, just being rebuilt on different container-based image. One of the reasons for that is to they are trying to make the image a bit lighter than or more optimized what they are today. The image is kind of around 10 gigabytes of size currently. So basically, it has everything installed into one image. And so one thing I'm trying to see is how far we can go as it is right now to split into smaller and more optimized images instead of the current way of doing things today. They are kind of also trying to figure out how it can have a one build system to build different image formats. So they want to basically create VM images, bare metal images, container images, all from the same source definition, if you will. We do have some CentOS build that might be able to accomplish that. So that's where there's several. I think there's several motivations behind doing this with AutoWare.
John, does that help? Did
Yes.
I answer? Okay.
Yeah, that clarifies. Thank you.
Okay. And I think that's all I've got planned. I wanted to ask if anybody had any questions, or I know there are certain folks who are doing hardware ports. See how things are going with that. If anybody has any updates or questions they'd like to bring up to the group. Maybe not. I was kind of thinking today was going to be quiet, and here there's all this stuff that has been going on. So that's all very good. Okay, well, I don't have any other business today, but if anybody else does, now is the time to bring it up. Otherwise, we can maybe close out a few minutes early. The pregnant pause makes me think that we are indeed out of stuff to talk about. So I will let everybody go. Thank you all very much for coming. It's great to see everybody on our monthly cadence, and we will be back. And make sure to pop in on the mailing list or on the chat channel if you have any questions or updates or anything you'd like to talk about. Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sure.
Bye.
Thanks.